Welcome to the Forged in Fire podcast. Meet your hosts, Nate Farmer Eden, co-founder and CEO of Eden Capital, dedicated to achieving financial independence for his community, and Cole Farrell, founder and CEO of Vulcan Capital, a real estate expert with a passion for empowering others through education. Stay tuned for another episode right here on Forged in Fire.
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting episode of Forged in Fire. I'm your co-host, Nate Farmer Eden. Allow me to introduce Cole. Cole, come on stage, brother.
Nate, what's going on today? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm fired up. We've got a lot of exciting things, and rumor has it that Eden Cap might be getting its first role as an LP. Dude, this is exciting, man.
It's true. It's true. I won't go into details, but I think it's verified.
Yes. All right. How are you? What's going on with you?
Dude, fired up. We're closing on a new HQ, which is headquarters soon. So fired up about that. The dates keep changing. Things keep moving around. But any day now, we're very excited. So I'll give some more intel on that as it unfolds, but always fired up. Speaking of a new HQ, we have an event coming up, do we not? Good. It's if you go to reiacademy.com/webinar, Nate and I host events where we focus on people that are getting into real estate, people that want to start investing, or maybe they did start investing, but they don't exactly know what they're doing, or maybe they just need a little more info to be successful. So if anybody listening that fits the mold, then check it out, forgereiacademy.com/webinar. It's free, obviously no strings attached, so that would be awesome. With that being said, let's go into some housekeeping. As always, please leave us a rating and review so we can help grow and educate others. Of course, please subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And lastly, buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
It's going to be so good. I am excited, especially today, man. So today we're interviewing Mel. Mel is actually co-chair with Ray, who was on one of our early episodes of PieWorks. He also does some amazing work when it comes to insurance as well. Dude, Mel, come on stage, brother. I got to bring you up. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing well, brother. So please tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you here? What brought you here?
Well, I've spent decades in corporate America. Okay, always in sales, selling software, selling Dun & Bradstreet reports, selling appraisals, just always doing well, but just not feeling it. You know, doing all the sales training and just there's something wrong. It was all about the deal. It was all about the company. It wasn't about the client. I mean, during this process, I had purchased 2 life insurance policies for myself, for my family. Both of them were horrible experiences, just horrible experiences. So I figured, okay, I can do this and I can do it better. So got out of corporate America, got away from the W-2s, got into this. First 6 months was real slow because I did not want to buy leads. I did not want to do what normal everyday life insurance agents do. That's how they're trained to do it. They're trained to buy leads. They're trained to go in and overcome objections. They're trained to do one call sales, get the client to buy. I just know it just wasn't the way I was going to do it. This wasn't me. So I found a company that I can work with that'll let me do what I do. So I've got my own agency. I call it Life Insurance Safe Zone. And another part of it is Retirement Planning Safe Zone. And there's a reason for the safe zone. You want me to continue or do you have any questions?
Oh, please. Keep going.
Okay. The way life insurance agents are trained, like I said, is to overcome objections. As soon as they say no, you change the direction of it. You try and get them to say yes. It's all about, go for the no until they say yes. And another acronym within life insurance and with most businesses is ABCs. Always be closing. All about getting the deal. It's not the way I do business. that wasn't me. Okay. It's important that I be transparent, that I be authentic, that I be true to myself before I can be true to the client. You know, in all the sales trainings I've had, the client is the means to the end. And I don't view it that way. I view the client as the end. Okay. And then what happens after that interaction is what happens. And so far, it's been pretty damn good.
That's awesome.
Okay.
I really like that approach, and we're absolutely going to be diving into that a lot more.
Sure.
I want to go back a little bit more into, I guess, more into the why. So you mentioned that, you had a bad experience and you left, corporate America, and you started kind of your own segment. And so you're
Right.
building that. Were there other factors involved in that? Meaning, like, was there anything else about the life insurance world that brought you in, either from an emotional standpoint or from like a financial standpoint? Like, why focus on this and retirement out of anything else you could do?
It was important that I continued to do sales in a sense. Okay, although I don't use the word selling in what I do now, but it's also important that I help people. I knew how important having those policies were to me, and I know how important it is to everybody who has a policy. And I've run into so many people that just got the wrong policy. They just didn't do their research correctly. They were sold a bill of goods, and I love the challenge. I really enjoy placing hard to place people with the right policy. I love that challenge. It needed to be done right. Now, I can only affect one person at a time. But to me, that's enough. That's enough. And I've got a whole process that I use, which I can get into in a few minutes if you'd like me to.
I love it. I love this deeply. And so hearing that, and then coming from the corporate realm, and then jumping into this, and then doing the life insurance safe zone, can you talk about some of the struggles and trials and tribulations? And if you don't mind sharing, I don't want to speed past it, but if you're more than happy to open and share about it, can you tell us a little bit about like those two bad experiences, or one that really resonated with you that was like, this was done wrong, I'm going to do it right because I'm completely put off of what just happened. This is how business should be handled.
Okay. When I was a lot younger, I knew what I wanted. I wanted a $750,000 term policy because I knew term policies were less expensive. Okay. So I called up, I think it was Life Quotes or one of those companies. I'm not sure which one it was. And I told them what I wanted, and they got me the policy. Great. Okay. I found out, a few years later, that there's a return of premium policy where I could have and the calculation was about $120 more a month. At the end of the term, if I was still alive, which I was, I could have got all my money back. Nobody told me about that.
Wow.
So one of the things that I do now is I'm very clear in the fact that I'm going to educate the client. Okay? They don't know what they don't know. And to make an informed decision, they need to be informed. So that was one bad experience. Next one, when that expired, okay, I went in to try and get another policy, different company. And it was one of those situations where, okay, I can come and talk to you. Is your wife going to be available? And I said, yeah, I think so. And, not thinking much of it. And I called up earlier. I called before the appointment and said, no, my wife's not going to be available. I said, we're going to have to reschedule then because I need your wife there too. And I said, what do you mean you need my wife there? He said, well, in order to do this right, he went into some crap about why he needs both of us there. I know now, obviously, what he was trying to do. He was trying to get both of us there so we could close the deal immediately. So I said, this just doesn't feel right to me. I want to go elsewhere. Then his whole tone changed, and I could swear he was almost sad on the phone. So it was like, he's like, wait a minute, this is not about you. It's about me and what
Right.
I want. So those were the two experiences. And I really took those to heart in talking to clients right now.
Love
So
that.
those were the bad experiences. And then as far as corporate America goes, it's changing quotas every year and changing managers and them thinking they know better than me. I can go into tons of experiences where it was just, oh, I've had it. Enough of this already.
Right. Well, I would love to ask for you to go into just a couple of the basics, and specifically because speaking for myself, I think there's a lot of gray and cloudiness around some of this stuff. And a lot of our audience is people that are relatively younger that might either say, I don't need it, and or they just have no idea how it works. And a lot of times the confused mind says no, right? So it's like, okay, well, what is a term life? Why would somebody need this? If I were to do this, like, give me some of just the basics that, somebody should be aware of if they're listening.
Okay, if you don't mind, before I do that, I very quickly want to get into my process.
Please.
Okay, and why I call it life insurance safe zone. All right, when I engage with a client, whether it's a referral or someone calls me, or I'm just talking to someone on one of the network meetings and they say, we need to talk more. I need to find out more. I said, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you how I do business, what my process is. And it's a 4-step process. Number one, I need to understand you. I understand what you're looking for, what your situation is, what your circumstances are, how old are you, what kind of medical situations do you have going? Are you looking to create a legacy? Are you looking to secure your future? Are you looking to protect your family? What are you looking for? I need to understand what you need. Okay. 2, the education piece. You don't know what you don't know. And this is what I tell them before I start actually talking to them. Okay. You don't know what you don't know. To make an informed decision, you need to be informed. And that's my primary job, is to inform you. Okay. 3, I'm independent. Over 30 carriers can operate anywhere in the country. Okay. I'm going to find the best options for you. Okay. Then the 4th step, and this is where I take all my sales training, my decades worth of sales training, and turn it on its head. All right. Because this is where I turn the process over to you. I don't guide. I'm going to suggest. I'm going to recommend, especially based on the conversation. Okay. I don't overcome objections because I don't look at it as objections. I look at that process as the client's decision process that I need to support, not objections that I need to overcome. And I very rarely get objections because I don't ask those uncomfortable questions. If you want what I've got, you're going to have to ask me. Because I'm not going to say which policy best suits your needs, which policy fits your budget. You don't love your family anymore? You don't want to protect them? None of the manipulative garbage that 99% of the agents use. It's going to be a conversation, and the client's going to take the lead after I've given them the options. Okay, if they need to think about it, yes. You need to talk to your spouse, yes, it's very important. I need to get some other quotes, absolutely. I'll give you names of other agents if you'd like. Whatever the client wants is what's going to happen, not what I want. No expectations going in.
That's powerful.
Okay, that's the way I do business. And that's the safe zone, where it's safe for someone to discuss a sensitive subject, such as their eventual death, such as protecting their loved ones, taking on an expense for the rest of their lives. It's their decision. So
What I
they
like,
need to be in control. Okay, go ahead.
no, I love it. I was gonna say what I like about this is that your process too can be applied to anything, and I think that's what's really nice. Different businesses, different industries, because I think a lot of business and sales are kind of trained and built around this, like kind of what you said, always be closing, always do this, and kind of like forcing it down someone's throat. And I feel like what you just described with kind of catering it towards your client is so important. And I think anybody listening to this, even if someone's like, I'm not interested in life insurance or retirement, this process can be applied to just about anything, which I think is what's really strong. Just like you're saying, you're catering to them, and the objections have a deeper meaning. It's not just, hey, let's ignore the actual reason they're asking and just overcome and sell. It's like, okay, let's actually dive into the problem that they're thinking and or facing. So I think that's awesome.
Now, for a lot of companies, though, it's their bottom line. They need the sale. So if you're working for somebody else, you don't do it their way, you're not going to be around long. So doing it my way, working for somebody else, can be very, very difficult. I mean, I report to someone, but not really. It's kind of like a mentor. The life insurance business is built on an MLM platform. All right, so it's called an upline, someone who I can talk to, someone who can help me if I run into difficulty. But he knows me, and he knows the way I do business. If he comes to me and says, what can I expect from you this month? And I'm going to look at him, and I'm going to say, you'll be the second person to know. Soon as I know. I don't know. And no, I'm not going to try and get this guy to sign early. He'll do it when he's ready, not when I'm ready. So he knows enough. Just, all right, you do you.
I love this so much. So help me then understand, especially taking this approach. And I love the approach. What does it look like in terms of marketing? How do you go about in finding your potential clients? What are you doing in terms of being able to get yourself out there, especially since you're not taking an approach of an ABC, always be closing. Let me call you one time and I'm going to walk away with its deal closed. I just made some money. So how does Mel get himself well known?
Networking. Alignable, which is godsend for me. Talking to people like you and I connected. Unalignable. Okay. And as soon as I realized you and I have very similar approach, that's when we talked about that other network that I'm, created with Ray, which is Pieworks, and brought you in, and it's become kind of like a family. With we're referring each other. If we have an issue, we'll go to the group and see if someone can solve it and give that person that lead. So it's all about networking. It's all about referrals and doing right by the client. Even if the client, for whatever reason, does not take a policy from me, it's the biggest compliment when that same person refers me to family and friends and associates. Okay? So there's never a failure, so to speak.
That's really interesting, and that's really strong. I guess play devil's advocate. Somebody listening might be like, okay, I love that approach, but how do you profit from it, right? So in the grand scheme, what do you track to see if it's working overall, and what do you do if it's not working? In the normal scenario, you're freaking out. You're like, okay, I'm not making any sales. They're deciding against it. Or how does that run? If somebody's on the other side of the fence and you're trying to say, hey, try this.
I'm not going to try and convince someone to do it the way I do it. That's not what I do. It's just, I'm being transparent. I'm being authentic. I'm being true to me. And it's worked. I went 6-7 months with not much happening. Then it started to happen. Okay. Then I got some clients. Then I got referrals. And it's going really well now. So I'm not going to convince somebody to, which is why I don't build a team. I decided to be a solopreneur here. Okay, because I can't convince someone, hey, you're going to make a whole lot of money, do it this way, go buy the leads, chase them down. That's not what I can't be authentic. I'd be lying. I said, if you want to do it my way, be ready not to make any money for a while, but to be ready to feel really good about yourself and about what you're doing and the way you're doing it. And if you know enough people and you can network, it's going to happen.
I agree. I love that so much on so many different levels. And it really speaks volumes to your character and everything that we talked about prior to and up to this moment, to where you're like, you didn't like the way that people were pitching, people were selling to you. You're like, I'm going to do this my way. I can do this properly. And even if things don't necessarily pan out, or even if I don't get the sale, or even if I don't, I'm going to stick true to my morals, my values,
Yes.
and I'm not going to put any pressure on anybody. I'm just
Right.
here to inform. I'm here to educate. And if you have questions, awesome. And then it sounds like one of the metrics that you track is that even if the deal does not necessarily close on that instance, you're like, a recommendation, a referral, the fact that somebody trusts me enough to be able to put my name out to somebody else speaks just as much and carries just as much weight. So in that same token, then, especially over those course of the 6 to 7 months where nothing was happening, and now when you're extremely successful with it, can you tell us a little bit about some of the KPIs or key performance indicators that you do track? What metrics help move Mel forward?
It's just talking to as many people as I can and letting them know what I do and how I do it with no pressure. And it's almost like I orchestrate the session on Smart Connect, which is a 7-minute one-on-one where you've got 3.5 minutes to talk about you and what you do and how you do without selling. And what I do is just like I told you before, and in less words, of course. My process, and to say this is how I get my business, because everybody I talk to, potential client, potential referral partner, and I get a lot of people calling me after we're done with the actual session, because they've been thinking about it. They don't want to put the name out there on the internet because they're going to get inundated with tons of predatory calls, but they need to know before they can make a decision. And I'm the type of person who's going to let them know without the pressure. So I kind of orchestrate it in a sense. And then if they're thinking about it, chances are they're going to contact. More people ask me for contact than me asking them.
That's awesome.
Afterwards. So it's just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And not try to manipulate, not try to coerce.
And I think it goes back to your point earlier, which I really liked, is not convincing. And it's something we talk about with specifically real estate deals. And it's like you said, we're not out to convince a seller to sell their property. We don't convince them of anything. We're saying, okay, do they have a legitimate problem? Yes or no, and let's see if there's a solution. And if not, we're not like twisting or manipulating, like you said, or trying to take advantage of them because of that situation on top of that. So there's a lot of things that you're saying that I just think are so important. And there's a lot of investors, unfortunately, that are doing a lot of shady things, as well as entrepreneurs, and doing it all for the sake of money. And unfortunately, that may come back to bite them. But I do really like your approach and how it's based on, clarity and just kind of like legitimately problem solving. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what entrepreneurship is, which is fantastic.
It should be. My biggest advice is just to be true to yourself, know yourself, and be authentic.
Right. And that authenticity.
It comes through.
Nate, I think it's time. What do you think?
Oh my goodness. I'm excited. I think Mel's ready.
All right, Mel, here's what's going to happen. We're going to send you into the hot seat, and we're going to ask you the questions that we ask every guest, catered a little bit towards you and your profession, and you can answer them succinctly, or you can give us a depth, but Nate and I are going to do our best to not interrupt.
We have never succeeded in not interrupting, but we're going to try. This might be the one.
All right.
All right. What separates top-performing entrepreneurs from the rest of the crowd?
I'm sorry, you broke up at the beginning of that.
Oh, let's try that again. What separates top-performing entrepreneurs from the rest of the crowd?
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Authenticity. I mean, you've got to be authentic and do your research. When it comes to life insurance, I know the different types of policies. I know where to go. I know what to say to the underwriters. You got to do your research, know your stuff, but be authentic.
So
It
good. I
comes
love it.
through.
What's a daily habit that's contributed to your success?
A daily habit. I just talk to as many people as I can.
Love it. What is a piece of advice that you would give to yourself if you were starting again? And this could be career, life, whatever you want.
I gotta go back again to authenticity. I keep going back to that because in all the sales training that I've had, you're trying to be trained to go to an area that you're uncomfortable with, that's not really you. You got to adopt this method in order to be successful. No, you take what needs to be done and make it part of your method. But you need to know yourself, like that old saying, you got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. You got to be true to yourself, be authentic, know what you feel comfortable with and why you're not comfortable doing something. And then maybe don't do that anymore. So it's kind of a different approach.
So good. What is your favorite business book?
Oh boy. I've read so many back when. It used to be Think and Grow Rich, but it's, I can take pieces of that, like, yes, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. But again, you got to know yourself. I mean, it keeps coming back to the same thing. The other books are all, the sales training books, and what's a rose by any other color should smell as sweet, or can't put lipstick on a pig, and all those, whatever it is, you just gotta be you.
Yep.
You feel good about what you do.
Yep. What is your favorite part of running your business, your segment, whatever you would like to, whatever you would call that?
Doing it my way, not taking somebody else's methodology and trying to apply that to what I do.
Love it.
And it took a while, before I got into life insurance. But the feeling of helping people, but doing it my way, and to be quite honest, making some pretty good money while doing it. But the money is secondary. That comes, if you do it right.
What is something new that you've implemented to help grow your success?
The safe zone concept, the whole concept. I don't know anybody else who does it this way. I know people who talk about it, that they're all about the client, but if you get into it, it's not. The ones who try and hide behind different wording, financial planning, when I come across someone who is a financial planner, the first thing I'm going to ask is, do you sell life insurance? Yeah, okay. I like to be right up front.
Love that.
I'm not doing anything, just like, the retirement planning safe zone. The reason for that, it's risk-free. No chance of losing any money. Yeah, I've been asked many times, why don't I have my Series 6 license where I could really advise someone as far as investing goes. And my comment to that is because I won't be true to myself. It's all about risk-free, no risk. You're not going to lose any money with me. And to say that and then get them into the market, into an actual investment, it goes against my core.
Yeah, there's got to be risk to invest. It's just part of it.
Right. And that's not the way I do it. Mine is, with retirement planning, risk-free. At no point are you going to lose money. If you don't pay your premiums, yeah, you're going to start losing money. But
Yeah.
at no point the market takes a huge dump. You don't lose a penny. Then the
Right.
next year when the market goes up, it's indexed against the market. You get that entire gain.
It's been so interesting listening to your story. I think it's a really cool strategy that you've kind of gone through here. And I like, just like you mentioned, you are very true to focusing on your client, and that is like the utmost importance to you. And it's been neat to hear kind of how you transitioned from like this corporate America world to, running your own business and it working. And you flipped, like you said, the script basically, and it worked. And I think that's just an awesome testament to show, like you said, go back to your authentic self, kind of be you, and obviously pay attention, but run your show how it should be run, and success will come, money will come, as long as you're providing value to somebody. And I think that's awesome. So I have two final questions for you. One, any final advice? And two, where can people find you?
Final advice. Again, let's go back to the core. Just know yourself and be true to yourself. Authenticity. As far as where can they find me, my email, my website is by the way, my website is jam-packed with information. It's a website that shows legitimacy and support. It's not created to gain customers. Okay? It'd be nice if it did, but again, I got to be true to myself. It's lifeinsurancesafezone.com. Okay. My email is mel@lifeinsurancesafezone.com. And my phone number, 805-300-1769. Cole, you had asked me something early on in this conversation about term policies and that. Did you want to talk about that? Do you want me to say anything about that?
Let's hit it briefly, and just in the sense of, if somebody didn't know anything about life insurance, give me like the 30-second what it is and why somebody should or should not have it.
Okay, there's different types of policies. Okay, there's three basic types of policies. There's accidental death, which is the least expensive. It only pays out if death is caused by an accident. There's term. Term is a death benefit that goes for so many years. And after that's done, after that term is over, you're still alive, the policy's gone, and the money you paid into it is gone. Okay? That's a term policy. Terminates. And then there's a permanent policy. And that's comprised of either a whole life or an IUL, Indexed Universal Life. Those can be structured in such a way that after, say, 7 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending on how it's structured, if you are still alive and your circumstances change, maybe you don't want the policy anymore, you can cash it out, get all your money back, all of it. It can also be structured in such a way to give you tax-free retirement income. So permanent, term, accidental. Those are the three basic overall categories. Accidental is the least expensive, then term, and then the permanent, much more expensive, but you get all your money back and make money.
Gotcha.
Mel, this has been amazing. And I appreciate the breakdown at the end between the three different ones. And I'm definitely going to have some other questions offline about each one. But you have his contact information for our listeners that are out there. Use it. I implore you to reach out to him. Fountain of knowledge, and he's true to himself. This has been awesome, Mel. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege having you on Forge and Fire. We're excited to bring you on in future upcoming seasons. For those that are out there listening, if you're driving, get home safe. We will see you all on the next episode of Forge and Fire. Thank you all so much. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Sure. Thanks. Bye.